Hello and welcome to Question Corner number 21, where we answer all your questions about Camunda, as you would expect from the name. So, who are here? Well, there's only one way to introduce your hosts, which is using the architectural diagram of ZB. As you can see, very resilient and always present. We have a broker there, and that is me. I'm Niall Deehan. I'm a developer advocate with Camunda. Joining me in my little cluster of brokers is Nele Uhlemann. Do you want to say hello, Nele?
Hi, I'm also a developer advocate for Camunda.
Thank you very much. And of course, the gateway to all knowledge about Camunda 8 and basically all knowledge about anything. I think Fifi agreed to take questions on any topic, actually. So feel free to drop those in there. And this is Felix Mueller. Felix, would you like to introduce yourself, what you do at Camunda, and how much you enjoy being a colleague of mine?
Thanks, Niall. Yeah, please only questions today about Camunda, nothing else for me. Nele and I will take all the other questions, I guess, I hope. So I'm Felix. I'm the product manager for Camunda 8 and for ZB, and that's why I'm here today.
Super duper. Thank you very much. So the questions, as usual, are given to us through a Slido. A link, I assume, will be, I should probably copy that and put it into the, put it into the chat so everyone can, no, it didn't need to because Kai did that already. So yeah, you can just scan it with your phone, which is super convenient because then you have two screens, or you can go to slido.com, you can type in QC21, or you can click on the link helpfully provided by Kaya there. Okay, now if you haven't used Slido before or haven't been to a question corner before, there are some fun things that you can know about it. First is you will see this lovely screen where you will have a place to ask your questions. You can put them in there and we will answer them. Or if you see a question you like, you can upvote them so we'll answer them quicker. If a very important thing about the question corner is you lovely people have taken time out of your day to come and listen to us talk. And therefore, your questions are the most important. So questions that are asked during the question corner, I would like to prioritize. So I'll usually try to get to those. So feel free, don't imagine that you'll be left in the lurch just because you haven't added your question yet. Instead, feel free to put them in there and we'll grab them and immediately answer them. Okay, so let's escape this and let's go here to our questions. So I'm actually going to throw the first question in the direction of my dear friend, Felix.
Cool, thanks, Niall. So yeah, can I use Optimize in Camunda 8 is the question. For those of you who don't know, Optimize is our tool at Camunda that allows you to monitor and do analytics on processes. So once you've executed a bunch of process instances, or also even decisions, if you evaluated a bunch of decisions as part of your process, you can then see all of this data in Optimize. It has beautiful reports and dashboards and things like that. And we originally developed that for Camunda 7, and it's available for a while now also on Camunda 8. So it's, yes, you can use it with Camunda 8. It's available out of the box directly in our managed service on SaaS. So there, it's the easiest way to find out how it looks like. If you spin up a new cluster in your account, if you sign up for a new trial for Camunda 8, you have then this overview about your cluster that shows the different components, and there you can jump into Optimize directly. As an alternative, if you're running self-managed, it's also available there. I believe in self-managed. If you're running Camunda 8 on your own, you need to look out a little bit because, for example, if you're using the Helm charts, I believe it's there out of the box. If you're running on Docker, there are actually, I believe, two different Docker Compose files. So we have one Docker Compose file for the core components. There we only include operate and task list, but not optimize. And then we have a separate one that also includes optimize. Because why is that? Mainly because if you're running our platform on your machine, we want it to start up as quickly as possible. And the more components you add, the longer it takes then to spin it up. That's why we decided to remove optimize, because it's not immediately maybe necessary for development. And it also requires our identity component to be there, which is then in addition a pod you need to run. Yeah, long answer. I hope that was okay for the first one.
Yeah, not bad, Fifi. I think it does help that you used to be the product manager for the for Optimize. I actually have a specific question to follow up. I hope you don't mind if I ask. Are there any key feature differences between Camunda 8 Optimize and Camunda 7 Optimize? Like anything that you think is relevant to bring up, or are they basically the same?
They're more or less the same. There are certain detailed features which are not yet available for Camunda 8, and we are actively working on resolving these differences, or this feature parity topic on Optimize. One of them that just came to my mind is DMN. So we just recently introduced DMN in Camunda 8, and you can evaluate already decisions using the ZB engine, and you can also then see the results in Operate. I believe at the moment you cannot see that in Optimize. The team is at the moment resolving that, so I hope with the 8.1 release that will be possible. And the other topic that comes to my mind are user task reports. So there in Optimize specific reports about that show you how long a human took to complete a user task. So from the time they claimed the task until completion, or also the overall duration of a user task. And these reports are not yet possible, I believe, in Camunda 8, mainly because we do not have all of the user task lifecycle events yet in Camunda 8 that we would need for that.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. That's really handy. And for those new who joined, you can add questions or vote for questions using that link I just put in the chat. Okay, that is sufficiently answered. Well done. Thank you very much, Fifi. So next up, Nele, do you want to take a question? Any specific one that you're interested in?
I can take two at the same time.
What?
I see two questions here that are combined nicely. Can I use JavaScript with Camunda 8? And there's one, can I use C# with Camunda 8?
Okay.
And I think,
JavaScript.
I think to understand this, yes, you can use both. Maybe I can share my screen quickly and jump to, I cannot share my screen, okay?
I'll let you share your screen. You can go ahead. Jumping quick into the documentation here, I think that's a great start to understand how that works. So if you know Camunda 7, the closest setup that we have here is actually the standalone engine with external tasks, and Camunda 8 works in a similar fashion where each service task actually is a job. And those job workers can be written in any language you like, and they are communicating over the gRPC protocol with ZB. And you can see that basically here that you have here your BPMN process. That means you have 3 services. You have collect money, fetch items, and ship parcels. And here we have the ZB architecture with a gateway, and that's how actually the job workers will communicate then to ZB and get jobs and also complete jobs. And this says, it means that payment worker, inventory worker, and shipping worker could be completely implemented in different languages. So the one could be in JavaScript, the other one could be in C#. And you don't even have to implement the gRPC communication logic, because we have for C# and for Node.js workers from the community already. So they are ready to use and take over for you the communication with ZB. So this is something you can use out of the box, but you would also have the possibility to build your own job workers in other languages. But I think we already have, like, what we officially support is actually a Java one, and I think, if I'm correct, the Go one. And we have a bunch of workers built from the community, including the Node.js and C# worker. I know that we also have Python. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I saw Ruby as well. So you have a bunch of options when it comes to implement your job workers here. Marvelous. Thanks, Nele. Yeah, it's very true. I think the fundamentals of C8 is all about being able to connect to basically anything, and language is part of that. So thanks for explaining that. I'm going to take that. 2 questions in one, Nele, leaving none for the rest of us, which is fine. We got a question from Michael, so I will go straight ahead and answer that one, which is ironic because I can't. The question is, are there any plans to include inclusive gateway in Camunda 8? First of all, I know the answer is yes. But I can't be more specific. Luckily, I do have at hand someone who can be more specific. Fifi, do you want to let me know when I should expect it? Like 6 o'clock? or maybe 7?
I can't be, unfortunately, more specific either. So what I can say is that there are maybe also related to these other questions that I see there, which BPMN symbols are supported. There is in our documentation a section about BPMN coverage. Niall, if you go to docs.
I will find it right now. 1 second. While you talk, I'll put it up. Wait, did Fifi just die? Oh no. Docs. See, this is what happens when you start talking about symbols. Docs.
It happens if you ask the wrong question.
Yeah, true. That's just... Okay, so I'm going to go to the docs.camunda.io, and I think we should have the ability to, components and see guides. Where is our symbols? Because we do have an entire symbol coverage. There it is in all its glory.
Yes.
There we go. Felix, you're back just in time. I found the website you were talking about.
Awesome. I think somehow you lost me, right? Good that I'm back. Can you hear me well?
Perfectly.
Perfect. Yeah, so as you can see, most of the BPMN symbols, so for example, if we look at tasks, the different task types that exist, they're basically all there, right? All of them that you need. Everything else is not really needed from our perspective. When it comes to gateway, there are the 3 gateways at the beginning that we already support. What is missing still is the OR gateway, so the inclusive gateway, and the complex gateway. We will, unfortunately, I have to say, Niall, we won't support the complex gateway, even if you would love that. So it won't be there for execution. But of course, the OR gateway is something that we should be looking at. And if we scroll down a little bit, I think what is maybe more important are then the different event types as well.
Felix has disappeared again.
Oh. He's gone again. Yeah.
But we do have the important ones. Honestly, the message, timer, and error are the ones that are probably the most commonly used. I think I remember Felix saying that we have because of the microservice nature of C8 and how it's designed, compensation is likely to be implemented much sooner than it was with 7. So compensation is one of what?
I mean, it would be so handy because with compensation, it's quite easy to implement Saga patterns.
Exactly.
And this is something you would probably look for in microservice orchestration or choreography anyhow, because the rollback of Sagas is super nice with the compensation event actually. So
yeah, actually compensation task isn't here, and that's a task type. Okay, must complain about that, but yeah, no, I totally agree. Compensation, I think, is going to be probably prioritized for that reason. I think so.
If I could wish for something, I would wish for the compensation as well. If I could say one of those I want, it's a compensation.
It's hard not to want like the non-interrupting boundary events. I love a compensation because we already have the the event subprocess.
Yeah,
which is here. And that combined with non-interrupting conditional event is super cool. That's just cool. So useful. It's so many uses. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I think we will, while you were gone, Felix, we decided to answer the question. So
that's great.
I think
what I did now, I switched to my mobile hotspot just to make sure that
very kind of you.
Better.
But yeah, cool. So I'm going to take that as done, and I guess this one also as done. Okay, I'm going to throw the next one to Nele. Do you want to pick a question to answer?
I think the one that is up is very cryptic. What they want to know, I don't know, what they want to know about, or they talk from wrong guy that they don't accept doers. Okay, let's do it. I have nothing more to say to that one, actually.
That is a hard one. Yeah,
it's a hard one.
Part of me loves those cryptic ones, though.
I have no idea what to say to this. Can we just remove it, or do you want to say?
I think it's answered, Nele. I think by making it exist. Okay. So do you want to take this one here? That's a great question. Yeah, we could all probably talk about that for ages, about how manipulating JSON works in C8, because we had a little adventure in doing that a while ago. Do you remember?
Yeah, for the workshop we did in Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's getting easier with Camunda 8 than with 7 because feel allows you to access JSON or data from JSON quite easily. So you don't need to have a spin or something in your path. So you can basically access over feel expressions or over feel you can access the values in JSON and save them into variables. I think the really mean thing I learned by doing this is that feel, for some reason, if you have an array, is not starting with 0, but starts with 1. So this is something I don't know how long it took me. I was really like, if you listen to this, start with 1 and not with 0. I could not figure out for a long time what the problem was. And I had to ask in the engineering channel and I found out it's a 1. Yeah, I don't know.
One of the best advantages of feel, I think.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Feel. So first of all, I like to defend the friendly enough expression language for a second because I do agree there's some weird eccentricities, like a single equals instead of a double equals does the verifies a value of a variable, which is confusing. But the 1 starting an array is also a problem. But if you think back to trying to do something like parsing the result of a multi-instance in like whatever weird notation we use, or even scripting, it's super easy in feel. Feel actually does loads of really, really good JSON parsing. It's so much easier than using Java or other expression languages. So it's very, very native because feel does a lot of JSON-like parameters. And also, it's kind of important to know that in Camunda 8, the feel expression language is not only used in BPMN, but also DMN. So now you can actually use the same expression language all across your processes and rules, which we didn't have with 7, which makes things really, really simple. It's a lot less to have to learn, but also if you spend some time learning feel, you'll learn it's really, really powerful. And in fact, I will have a blog post about that coming up soon. So you can also create variables with feel and stuff like that. So if you want to like create expressions that sort of, let's say, parse input variables into new variables, you can do that with feel actually. So yeah, keep that in mind. Feel is where it's at as a thing.
Maybe related to that, we talked a lot about feel. Nele, maybe it makes sense also to look at the Java perspective. So how can I add JSON variables as a Java developer? I feel for some people that's extremely clear. For others, maybe not that much. And I believe that this process solution template project that we have for Camunda 8 shows at least one example. I'm not sure, Nele, if you want to bring that up. I think it shows that as an example for the business key, at least how you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you let me share my screen.
Oh, that's my fault. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I think I talked with Fifi briefly before that and said that I'm a big fan of the solution template, and I just opened it in my IDE. And here actually we have a bunch of things that are configured in the solution template. For everyone who knows Camunda 8, it's supposed to be like the archetypes in Camunda 7 to use a solution template here. So it gives you already a bunch of options, how you can define workers, how you can deploy processes, but also how you can handle process variables. And here is actually the class for that, that then would take care of taking this process variables from your workers into the engine and the other way around. I played around with it a little bit and I really liked it. I don't know, something you like or someone of you like to add? I mean, have you tried it out?
I tried it out. I think it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it shows you especially how easy it is really to interact with the engine itself, because it does a lot of the work for you already. In the template, it shows you pretty much how to do things. And that's what I meant also for variables. It shows you how easy it is to just use normal really pojos in the Java world, and then how it automatically does that mapping to JSON and how it saves the variables or returns them to the worker. So if you have questions about how to manipulate JSON in Java and how to store these JSONs, then I think checking out this solution template is probably a good idea, and you could extend that easily to add your own properties as well. It's really no magic, right? It's more best of breed, I would say, once again. So we are just reusing functionality from the Java or Spring world that already exists.
And it also is a good example if you get started, because it comes with a simple process with one service task. You deploy, when you start this application up, it deploys the diagram to your ZB instance. And then you also have the possibility to see how the worker is configured, like you have here the worker, and you see that's something I really like about Spring, how easy it gets to make the integration here as well. And that's everything you need. So you can really focus on the business logic again. So you don't need to worry about the communication layer you have with ZB here, because it's just one line of code, really.
Fully agree. Really cool.
Thank you very much, Niall. That was very in-depth. And now let's take that little box. Amazing. We also did this because Niall answers questions super fast. Let's look at some of the stuff that was just sent in. Let's go with this one, I guess. Can I start a process instance using REST with Camunda 8? Good question. Felix, there is a REST API that's part of Operate, as far as I'm aware. Can we actually start an instance from that?
Mm-hmm. So at the moment, the REST API that we have in Camunda 8 is the one for Operate, as you mentioned. And for Operate, it's mainly about querying process instances that are either running or completed, finding out about where a process instance is currently located, so on the flow where the tokens are on the diagram, check out the variables that are there, and so on. So the main idea is that you can either build your own Operate if you like, or what is more common actually is that you want to integrate what is the status of my process instance in your own application, either for your own purposes, for internal operations teams, or also maybe for, let's say, your customer, right? So if you have an order process and you want to reflect to your end customer, the consumer, where the order currently is sitting. So for example, if it's in delivery or if things are being picked up at the moment from the warehouse, you can reflect all of that using then these APIs, because the process engine knows about all of this information if you design your process in the right way. So this is the REST API that we have for that. For ZB itself, for the execution, which means also then starting instances, implementing job workers to connect to your business systems, and also, for example, message correlation, so sending in messages and triggering certain things in the process while it moves along. This is something where we are using this gRPC endpoint or gRPC protocol that Nele talked about earlier. And there are a couple of different implementations, so client implementations in different languages available that Nele has shown before. And at the moment, there is no REST API on that. However, it's extremely easy actually to build that on your own. So if we've just looked at this example, this process solution template that Nele has shown in code, there you can imagine in Spring that is probably just 3 lines of code to add an endpoint to start a new process instance. And what we actually are seeing is that quite often there are more things that are happening inside that you want to do when you trigger a REST endpoint. It's maybe not necessarily only triggering this REST endpoint to start a process instance. If I can imagine to have a REST API at some point for Camunda 8, if that's the question, yes, maybe. So it's an open discussion point still.
Cool. Thanks so much for the detailed answer. That was really useful. Let's take that. Here's a question that came in a little while ago that we were discussing before we went live, which I am looking forward to finding out, which is kind of how the Spring Boot application we embedded in process engine using Groovy. Would you recommend it? The would you recommend it part is the bit that I like the most about this question, because the first bit is, sure, you can use Camunda 7 as an embedded engine within a Spring Boot application. You would obviously, every part of this then would be Java. If when they say using Groovy, I'm assuming Groovy is the business logic is written in. And there is probably 2 ways of doing that. You can use a script So you can embed a script or link to a script from a service task or from a script task, or you can use an external task to which is written in Groovy that is external to the Spring Boot application, but I doubt that's what you would look for. What do you folks think? Are there any other options there for design-wise beyond embedding the script in the model or external tasks?
I cannot think of a different one.
And so, Nele, would you recommend this approach? That's the important thing.
I don't know if I would recommend Groovy to anyone. Not sure about it. I guess I would probably, I would probably go, because I think it's more also what applies to modern architectures, to have standalone engine and then connect over external tasks or job workers to it. I think that makes a lot of sense if we talk about architectures that deal with microservices and all this. So probably if you would start a new project, I would always go for this pattern.
Yeah, and I would maybe add also that for simple data transformation that I have seen Groovy mostly being used for in previous projects that I've seen, there we would recommend using Feel for all of that. And Feel is actually extremely powerful when it comes to data manipulation. If you haven't used it, play around with it. There's also a playground, I think, that we have from the community, which is quite cool to see what you can do with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've seen a lot of Groovy being used throughout the model. One of the reasons I wouldn't recommend embedding Groovy in your model is testing is really hard. When you tightly couple your scripts and your model, it's really hard then to test your business logic independently from your process logic. So that's one reason I wouldn't recommend it. But then again, if you want to build software super fast that might break, but you don't really care too much, you want to get something working, hack day project, that sort of thing, go for it. But generally speaking, you'll have maintenance problems down the line if you're going to be embedding Groovy scripts as a primary way of actually using the engine. And I agree with Fifi that maybe Feel is a pretty good idea. Okay, we probably got a couple more questions left in us. So let's see what we can do. SSO. Felix, this is for you again, I guess, since I have no idea how to answer this question exactly.
Yes, I love it, SSO. I hope it stands for single sign-on and not something.
I think it does.
Who knows? Let's say it is for single sign-on. So what you can do is first of all, maybe for Camunda 8 SaaS, if you log in, you can log in already today as a user or sign up with your GitHub, and you can also sign up with Google, I believe. And what you can also do is you can sign up manually, and then all of the applications that we have for Camunda 8, you can access all of them using single sign-on, right? So there's just one login for all of our components. What you can also then do if you become an enterprise customer, we allow you to configure your own identity management system in our SaaS. What does it mean? You can then more or less log in with the same identity provider that you have for all of your other internal components. So let's say you're using, for example, Okta in your organization, then you can log in with the help of Okta to Camunda 8 SaaS, which is quite powerful. So this is one thing on the SaaS side, and also on the self-managed side, it's quite similar. So we have a component that is called identity. Identity uses Keycloak under the hood, and then you can hook up Keycloak with your own identity provider. So for example, again, with Okta or even your custom own implementation, hook that up there, and then you have single sign-on more or less with all of the different Camunda 8 components.
Oh. Thanks, Fifi. That's really good to know. I actually didn't know this. We have two left. We can do this. I'll take this lovely thing here. Can you have engine plugins with Camunda 8? So there's the answer to this. There's two answers. The short answer is no, not really, because you can't really dig into the engine in the same way you could with C7, but it depends what you're trying to do. So for instance, a lot of the plugins I used to see with Camunda 7 actually integrated with the, what was it called? The history event stream. which was a bunch of data that comes through the engine on its way to the history database, and you would hook in there and then do stuff depending on what kind of data they got. Now, I'm going to say a thing now, and Felix will correct me if I'm wrong, so prepare yourself, Felix. There is an exporter, which you section of ZB, where basically all the data that has happened gets exported, goes through this exporter, and then ends up somewhere. With us, it's Elasticsearch for the web apps. So I'm pretty sure that you could still make a custom exporter that could kind of act in a very similar way, that you could actually take the data as it happens coming through ZB and then do stuff with it in that way. So that, while it's not technically a plugin like you would have seen with 7, it, depending on the feature you're trying to create, it could have the same effect. So that's one of the things that I think is true. And
you're fully correct, Niall. I think you're correct. This one time you're correct. So this is nice. No, jokes aside, so there are also from the community actually already custom exporters. I was thinking about the Kafka exporter, I believe, that streams all of the history events then into Kafka, which can be quite useful to do that. So that is, I think, a great concept that we have in there. And I think it covers actually most of the use cases where a plugin would be relevant in Camunda 7. The most plugins I've seen were actually for exactly this use case. If there are others, please also ask a question around it.
Oh, I will take an okay answer. Let's take a look at Kevin's question. What was the product mentioned? Phila. Did I mention a product called Phila? I might have mentioned Fifi, but I'm not sure I said Phila. Did we mention anything, guys?
I don't know.
No.
I think that was asked when I talked about the identity management stuff. So maybe just to reiterate, you can use identity. That's a component we have in self-managed, and identity connects to Keycloak. And
as
maybe that's helpful. If not, please specify in which area that question was. When you were talking about Groovy, it says.
Oh,
that's the feel language. Maybe.
Oh, feel. I'm so sorry. Yes, there we go. Feel, the friendly enough expression language. So I will quickly explain what that is, because that's probably a good idea, right? So the friendly enough expression language is part of the DMN standard, the decision model notation standard. It was developed by the OMG at the same time as the standard as an expression language that is very human readable, but also still quite powerful. So for instance, human readable means that its the main goal of it is to be used as a powerful expression language within decisions, so that analysts who actually understand how the rules would work can still build them, but it still be readable and an expression language, which actually explains why we complained a little bit earlier about why arrays start at 1, because if you're a developer, arrays start at 0. But if you're an analyst who's maybe never used any code before, then yeah, of course it makes sense that the first thing on the list is number 1. So this language is developed to be quite reader friendly, and because of this, we decided to embrace that in a big way for C8. With C7, we had loads of different ways of scripting and expression languages and things that can be embedded places. We decided to just say, let's build a really good feel engine and let's use it everywhere so that people can use this language. I'm going to put the docs for the feel expression language, which I have almost always on hand, which basically is here. What is feel? The detail here, you can see this is how it looks. And it has loads of features. It's really, really good, actually. So, and it's kind of an important thing to learn whenever you're doing Camunda 8 stuff, because it's going to be very fundamental to how you use it. So I'll put that in the chat in a second. So I think we cracked the code. There we go. Okay, we got maybe 5 minutes left before I will go into the final thoughts. I think we Felix, do you know the answer to this one? If I have a C7 license, can I use C8?
Yes, I need to use the consulting answer. So it depends. In most cases, yes, if you're on a modern, more recent license construct, then you can use directly Camunda 8 if you have a Camunda 7 license. The best idea is that you speak with your customer success manager who can answer that question. But we recommend actually our customers that are on Camunda 7 to also embrace Camunda 8, especially for new projects. That shouldn't be a problem. The license shouldn't be in your way. So there's always, we can discuss it.
Cool. Thank you very much, Felix. I think we kind of answered this one earlier about the Keycloak one. So I think we can tick that one as well. And that brings us to the end of our questions, I think. Oh, wait, we got one more. Is Camunda 7 will be maintained in the next 10 years? I'll take this one. It depends. So we can tell you this, it'll be maintained for the minimum of at least 5 years from now. And then we'll reevaluate what's going on. We don't Camunda 7, people should be aware of this, and I keep reminding people, is still has exactly the same resources within Camunda as it always used to have. The same development team is still working on C7. They're still adding new features. So it is in full development and will be for the next 5 years. So it's still a very relevant bit of software. We're then going to reevaluate at some stage. Well, not we, I mean, I won't be involved in that discussion probably, but somebody very important, almost as important as me, will have this discussion and see, should we extend it? Should we start sunsetting it? It'll depend on loads of factors that we really won't know for the next couple of years. And it'll probably depend on how C8 looks and how many people are still embracing C7. So guaranteed, next 5 years, it'll not only be maintained, but it'll still be getting new feature releases and still in full development for at least the next 5 years. And from then on, we probably can't be 100% sure. I would like to see Camunda 7 and still being used in 10 years. I think it's a really great product. So me personally, I think it's great. No offense, Felix. Camunda 8 is also really great. So yeah, I'm going to tick a thing. Did I say anything wrong there again, or did I get 2 questions right in the one? Wow, two questions correct in yeah, that's a record for me. Okay, so I'm going to let's say I'm going to get my slideshow, my closing remarks for the last 5 minutes or so. First of all, thank you very, very much for all the questions. That was really, really fun. We went through them quite quickly. Hopefully you got your answer that you were looking for. But if not, you can come and pester us in real life, because there's a bunch of meetups that are kicking back off now around the world. And we're starting with next week. If you are in Netherlands, myself and Nele will be in Utrecht doing a workshop there. Then I think we send Nele, do we send you to Stuttgart, Nele? Or where do you go next? Yeah. And then we also have a bunch of in-person German language and English language and Spanish language meetups around the world, including Peru and Delhi and Stuttgart and all other fun places. These are the dates. If you're nearby, show up. Some are in person, some are online. So feel free to join those. Marvelous. I think, yes, more details, as Kaya pointed out, at the events page. So sign up. Okay, we also have in August, we also have meetups in as well coming up online in English and in German. And if you are interested in more information about meetups in general, which are organized by the community, and like if you want to organize one yourself, you can always contact us about that. We're also interested in how you get on using Camunda. If you are interested in doing some user experience research because you're using Camunda a bit and you want to get free stuff, because we'll get you free stuff, then you can sign up. Go check out this survey, scan it with your phone and do it. See how you can give us some user experience there if you like, and you might win a thing. I'm not sure if you get it, definitely, but I'm not sure how that works, but you'll find out. Cool. We have 2 more things to talk about. The developer newsletter I always talk about, which is really, really cool. So we curate that in the DevRel team, and then we send that out with all the fun stuff that we see, new features that are upcoming, details of community projects. Basically, as a Camunda developer, it's a really, really nice monthly introduction to what's going on. Finally, and most importantly, from my perspective, because I'm very excited about this, it is CamundaCon, our yearly conference. around Camunda users and the various things they're doing is happening in October. It's a hybrid event. It'll take place in Berlin on the 5th and 6th of October and will be also available online. You can register right now at camunda.com, but also we are still accepting presentations for this. So if you have a fun use case you want to share with us, please go ahead and do that. We'd be very happy to read your presentations to share among other people who are using Camunda. We're specifically looking for the kinds of presentations that show a very interesting use case from a customer or solved a really interesting problem with Camunda. So please do share. We are hiring. Yes, I have so many of these slides. I once asked people, hey, if you have a slide you'd like me to add to the end of the question corner thing, you can go ahead. And I've got a lot of slides now. We are hiring. There are so many, there's actually a lot of, we're hiring a lot, and I don't even know where to start in terms of what is currently available. So instead, I would suggest that if you're interested, go to camunda.com/career and check out if anything there is interesting for you. I can tell you Camunda is a great place to work. Fifi, would you agree?
Definitely.
So good. Nele, are you on board with that as well?
Sure.
Good. And I'm sure Kaya is nodding behind the scenes there. Okay, and I think we're done. Yes, we are. Thank you very much for coming on at the Question Corner. The recording of this will be up and available probably by Monday. And I hope to talk to you folks again at the next Question Corner. Thank you very much for joining. And thank you for my guests, Felix and Nele. Thank you very, very much. Thanks for Kaya behind the scenes, posting links and making sure that we all showed up on time. And yeah, goodbye, everybody.